Hey team, how we going? It's Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz, and today's a difficult one. Why? Because the repetition of doing videos for Army is getting old. I'm the only person that's doing it. I'm the only one that's trying to make up for the government policy that seems to not care the standard people turn up in. So what tonight is about is helping you excel to never have apprehension about what you're about to get yourself into. And the poll is there. What are you most nervous of once you get to Kapuka? Is it getting back squatted? Is it the fitness standards? Is it missing home? Or is it actually quitting? We're going to talk about these things tonight and how we prevent all of that. The one thing I cannot do anything about is missing home, because that's normal. Okay, and a lot of years have never lived anywhere other than home. But you're about to go from a family to a bigger family that also respects your previous family, your current family, your legacy. So let's get to it tonight, and let's talk about stop training alone. Intensity, camaraderie. These are the things that are going to bring you to the yard and get you through. Not just Kapuka, but also the School of Infantry. Wait 2 seconds. Hey, darling, how you going? Good, I'm online. I've got to go, darling. I love you. Bye-bye. Bye. It's what it's all about, family. While we're waiting for people to get on here, let's keep seeing what's happening. What are you guys up to? What's happening in your life? I don't know how to get this to hide. Okay, close poll. There we go. Samuel. G'day, Sam. How you going, buddy? It's a nice name. Evening, Kaz. Hope you're well. Excited for another stream. I'm glad you are. Did you do the poll, mate? One thing you'd be nervous of. Cal from Western Australia. Hey, Kaz. Getting very excited. Not only a few weeks left. Wingy. Okay, Wingy, what were you nervous of before you went to Kapuka? The oldest man we've ever had go to Kapuka, who excelled, had no problems, wasn't homesick, achieved all the standards at an age greater than 50. Wingy says, start training 12 months in advance. If you're young, you don't really need to, An ex-elite swimmer is the wingnut. What I'd say to you is stop training individually, and train with purpose, with intensity. I don't care how often you train. If you train with intensity, you're going to be goddamn laughing. Absolutely laughing. All right? When you're going to things going 100 miles an hour and outsource your pain to someone else. Get in a boot camp. Pay the money. Invest in yourself. Good pair of shoes, right? Good Fitbit or something like that to compete with people online. Get your steps up. At the same time that if you go to a boot camp, you sign on for 6, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you get the tutorials by the people that are the PTs that are trained to do so. They set all the equipment up. You've got the time to turn up. And then you turn up and it's social as well. You're turning with other people that want to be there, that are there to work regardless of age. Talk to the PT, let them know, I'm joining the Army. Do not listen to the excuses that I create inside. We're going to be listening to part 2 in a minute, which is another video that's gotten done by Valhalla. So stay on for that. Make sure you subscribe so you can talk into the chat right now and be part of the crew. My level of fitness, yeah? Well, it's easy to doubt your level of fitness, but if you do the training, there's nothing to doubt. Turn up ready to be the teammate, ready to drag a mate out of battle. If you turn up and you're ready to exceed past the basic fitness assessment, which is the minimum standard for operating as an under 25-year-old in the infantry corps, it's impossible you're going to actually fail Kapuka. It would take skill to fail Kapuka. Yep. Right. Skill. Jared, what's the brew, Kaz? We're going with a cappuccino. Going with the cappuccino here. Mugga Homo. WA Webby. G'day, Kaz. G'day, buddy. How you going? Third coffee for the day. I don't know if my ADHD can take it, to tell you the truth. How are we looking over here with the scores so far? So we've got back squatting. Okay, that's a legitimate fear. We've got fitness standards. Okay, not a legitimate fear. It's your own fault if you turn up and you're not ready. Missing home is fair enough because that could be missing your dog, missing your mum. Maybe you're still a boy. Maybe you're still a girl and you don't realise you're an adult by age, but you're not an actual man yet. Or maybe quitting. That shouldn't be a fear, but it seems to be one. And although it's not new, it seems to be epidemic in this young generation who are unable to divorce themselves from the fact that when you get yelled at, that is just normal. That is part of being in the military, and it ain't personal. And when you get yelled at, that's because they want everyone to get that inner civilian out of them and become a team player that is able to eventually, with a sense of urgency, do what they're told in an effective manner, but also be able to be lethal, right? And not question things when someone gives you the order to do so on a rehearsed drill. Buckaroony says, evening. Mr. Buckaroony is a legend. He's a servant of the nation, worked for the police, the prison department, but not as a custodial individual himself, and a 20-year plus soldier as well. Servant of the nation and one of the best men I've ever met. And now he's down around Clarencetown, I believe, for school holidays, which is probably crazy at the moment. We've got Assam Lama. Hey, Kaz, I've got my 3 assessments this week. Which one should be the most worried about? Psychology. Psychology is the only one where you've got someone who's been to university that's trying to fail you for some reason. That's one I'd be nervous about. Don't give them a home goal. That's why people come to me. You come there in the trenches with Kaz the Bat Phone. You come onto the remarks below and you're going to see the Patreon link. That's going to make you 90% more successful. But I'm the only one that does it. For the price of a coffee a month, I could be talking to you, getting you through individual of anything that makes you scared. So let's see you there. I can't drag you there. We've got hundreds of members that are in our Patreon that for some reason Patreon created a free submission. Mate, I can't help if you're not willing to buy a coffee in return. I can't do it. You're getting awesome advice that goes over an hour at times for the price of a coffee. That's as cheap as we can go. And the money goes for my daughter's, what would you call it? Her investments anyway, to help her in case Dad's not around. And that doesn't mean I'm leaving. Frags. Fragged. Recently went through Kapuka. Can confirm missing home was my biggest struggle. Yep. When in doubt, write a letter, not a phone call. Prepared myself for everything, but didn't realise how homesick I'd get. How old are you, Frags? I can understand it when someone misses their kids. Yep. Missing your parents, that's fine. You'll be fine. Mad. G'day, mates. Jared. Always avoided back squatting like it was a plague. Yeah, I was shit scared of getting back squatted, I must admit. That is a terrifying thing. We've got Lewis Hall. Sounds famous. Hey, Lewis Hall. Just as I said his name, he's become a member. Boom. There you go. The bearer of coffee. Thank you very much. There, Lewis Hall. Welcome him, people team. Let's put this on. I know that the K-Dog loves this. When I say K-Dog, I don't mean Paki the Pakistani. But let's give him a crack at for old time's sake. The single mums. There we go. It's a crackin'. It's a crack. Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy. Welcome, calamari. Hey, Louie, how you going, mate? Welcome to the group, mate. I hope that you haven't got this mixed up with Patreon, but this is the joining as a member, okay? The Patreon, okay, although you can join as a member of Voice of the People, that gets a phone number, okay? But so does going on to Patreon, the Black Legion. So, Hawko, I was petrified of getting back squatted. It's good to care what people think, team. I went through at 17 and must admit missed home and girlfriend at the time. Do you remember what her name was, Bucko? Was it Jennifer G? G'day, Jen. How you going, mate? How's it going up near Mackay? Sun would be up there for sure. Anytime, mate. That's all right, Louis. Frags, I was missing the dog. I like that. My partner and family gatherings, etc. Pushed through the camaraderie. Helped a lot once we got talking at night. Not famous though. There you go, Louis. The Kraken. Okay, so team. I'm hearing about a whole bunch of people that are quitting recently. I heard about one 17-year-old whose mother's trying to reach out to me because her 17-year-old's trying to quit in his first very week. What the hell is going on? This is meant to be your dream job, career. This is the rest of your life. Kapuka is not the army. Singleton, 16 weeks, is not the army. The army is when you get in, and I can tell you now, I've got so many people at the School of the Infantry that I've been speaking to today. People at the School of Signals I've been talking to today. We've got guys at the moment who have been sent home to get themselves ready for a course that starts in a couple of weeks, and then they're going home for 7 weeks over Christmas. And that's after they've been in the army less than, 4 months. Incredible. Doing sports, going overseas, helicopters. We've got one guy who's about to be a helicopter pilot. Fantastic. He's loving it. He went on a flight today. Haven't found out how it's going yet. To find out tomorrow. Guys, this is the number one career of the future, because whether we like our government or whether we don't, and I don't, what's happening is the narrative, you were untouched when you were in the military because you were part of the essential services required for all countries to go ahead during peace and war. It makes sense. The stability's there. The public service of the future is bulletproof when it comes to AI, evolution, etc. Join the military. Have the stability, the free medical, the housing, the pay and conditions, the uniform maintenance allowance, the seagoing allowance, the adventure, the friendships. There's going to be a scrapbook that you have to look back at when you're my age. I'm 54, nearly 55. I know what you're thinking. Look like a skater boy. Avril Lavigne. Right? Couldn't see the man this boy could be. You guys have got more information, listen to me, than anyone in the history of the world has ever had to form a decision. More than you've ever had. Now that makes a quandary of choice. That makes it quite difficult. Have you ever asked a woman, what do you want? When she goes into a shop, all of a sudden, the glitch happens. The same thing happens when it comes to people getting out of school. We've got the first week of the people who've just got out of year 12. Yep, and year 10. What am I going to do? Do I go to uni? Do I become a tradie? Am I going to be a barista? Am I going to take a year off gap year? Am I going to be a cop? Am I going to be a psychiatrist despite the fact that I haven't even fucking moved out of home yet? Am I going to join the military? Let me tell you something that you may not have heard before. 100% of people can make it in the Army, Air Force or Navy. Spear point is Army. Then it comes down in difficulty to Navy, and then it goes down to Air Force. So treat it like a traffic light. What level of intensity do you want? There's a job there for everyone. There's things from special forces all the way down to storeman, to cook. There's a job for everyone. But the conditions are the same. Not the physical conditions. They're a lot harder for infantry, etc., and for engineers and for cavalry, and even Ramie that spend all their life on their knees like a hooker, but on cement. Guys, your life is about fulfilling a scrapbook in this time. Don't go for a job or a career that simply puts money in the bank account while you sit in a room with no windows, have no adventure, 4 weeks off a year if you're lucky, and no time to go and see children, no ability to have children because your legs and your arms are the colour of a vampire's back. Do something for yourself. You're going to get injured. Yep. You're going to make mates, great mates, the best mates. You're going to make meet your mates' sisters. You're going to have stories. You're going to have guys that are on the chat right now that I'm looking at that know what it's like to be in a helicopter sticking a finger up at their mate who's in a helicopter looking back at them. It'll give you everything you want. Don't listen to the critics. I was in it for 24 years. I wish I was still in now. I'm only doing this because I want you to have a good life. This is how my civic duty goes. How we go at the moment. So, it's very close. Back squatting, fitness, and missing home are our three biggest fears. Okay. Ty Smith gives me a red-handed slap. Saxton, well done, all mine. I haven't been told anything. Hawko, HSC Careers Expo a few months ago, and a lot of kids I was talking to did not have a clue what they wanted to do. That is scary as hell. When you don't have any life, mission, task, or purpose, you're going to end up with a fat single mother, in Adelaide. That's what happens. Your life will be an accident, just bouncing off things until something accepts you. Hey, Kat's got my assessment day on the 7th. When do you think enlistment day will be? Assessment day is on the 7th. Jordo, at this stage, will be next year, mate. Michael Jordan, yep, next year. Remember, they have the courses full for the next 2 or 3 months in advance. We've got IMSI here, got my enlistment date for the 21st of October. That's less than a month away before you'll be shitting in a Kapuka toilet bowl and then getting sent home for holidays. Since January, but here we are. Exciting times, that's right. Australian country animations. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Scared of the fitness requirements. I am sexually that I won't be able to keep up with the girls that I want, but, I'm willing to try. Battle it out there. Guys, Wild Track Weekender. Psych evaluation done, interview and medical in 2 weeks, infantry reserves. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your life. We've got infantry and cavalry reservists in the chat right now. We've got regular guys from aviation in the chat right now. Back into boxing and running fitness. Boxing is one of the best activities. Fitness Real, can't wait to crush the PFA. You will crush it. Look at an aeronautical officer in Airforce, ADFA. I'm pretty fit and want to be challenged, but I get the impression that it won't be as hard. You know what? Being excellent is always hard. Always go past the standard, because one day the standard is going to ask for more than what you can give. So the things I talk about, intensity versus regularity. When you train hard. 2.4, as hard as you can go. 1.2 kilometres from your house, put a line out there. One at 1 kilometre, one at 1.2. You can run from your house at night, depending on what suburb you're in, what the cultures are like where you are. I don't recommend a black man sprinting at night. Might not look good in the suburbs, especially for 1.2 kilometres unless you people know who you are. Right, so train with intensity. Get out there, get the time. And once you get a time, that time will be the worst time you ever get. Okay, rain, hail or shine, set yourself a target, get out there, do the run, get the time, log it down, then hydrate. Don't have a shower straight away. Allow the effects of your body to keep going. When you do push-ups 6 times a day, on the hour, get down as many push-ups as you can do, but stop at 50. Right? We don't want to be ridiculous here and get to the stage where you look like you're just having sex with the carpet, with the pile. Right? You do that and you can't fail. We need to get you past 40 regardless of what your age is. Past 40 push-ups in 2 minutes is what I'm talking about. Right? You need to get swimming. Go out there and go and tell the people at the pool, I'm practicing for the military. I want to get out there. Here's me dad's going out clothes. Ohio Danio. That's a great name. Can we get some thumbs up for Ohio Danio? Good to have you here, sir. Get in the pool, start treading water 15 minutes, 20 minutes. In an area which is just over your head, but you're close enough to the wall if you need it, or have a number 2 there to watch you. Well, you shouldn't be training alone anyway. Get in there and do the laps, because the swim test is required as well. Park runs. Go to a park near you. There'll be a park run. Look it up. It's normally a 5 kilometre distance. You can walk it. You can take a dog. You can run it. But what it does, it gives you a team to compete against. Everything you do, get competitive. They don't have to be joining the army, but get someone that needs to lose a few kilojoules. Get them out there and help them with their weight loss journey by training with them, doing activities with them. Everything you do before you get to Kapuka, I'm there for the inspiration, desperation to get you through using the bat phone, the counselling, but your mates are there to train with you, to help you. Then you get online, watch some YouTube videos about the different things that are available in the military. But one thing I want you to plan for is that when you join the military, that you're going to be in for at least 40 to 50 years. That way, if you're in for 20, mate, you're still going to have, okay, your finances squared away. You're going to have a life. You're going to have a scrapbook full of activities, friends, and regrets. You need to get money and put it in the stock market to start it off, to start that ball rolling, because then you've got your super on the side, you've got your investments on the side, two areas where the money can go to, and then you've got the rest to play with. Don't move off the barracks until you absolutely have to or you get kicked off there. Guys, this can be your perfect life. What is a perfect life? It's going to have stress, it's going to have tension, it's going to have friction. You know, you're going to make mistakes, but never alone. A call out to all the guys at the School of Infantry at the moment, to the guys, you know, in Signals at the moment that are waiting to start their course. Okay, Ohio Danio, 6th of October, enlistment. Never been more keen. Ohio Danio, what are you more nervous of? Back squad, fitness standards, missing home, or maybe quitting? I'm scared that someone's got quitting. Because quitting should not be an option. Why? Because you put your hand up for oath or affirmation. You've said, people, on my family name. Kaz, can you give Saxon a call soon, please? He's on Patreon. Yeah, we're only talking a couple of days ago. Of course, Saxton. Kaz will speak with you, mate, only if you're on Patreon. He can't do the impossible. Yeah, he's on there. Saxton, we've been speaking. Earl, 76 Duke. Legend Samuel. Thanks so much. That's bloody great. G'day, Simon. Going well, mate. Back from holidays and hit the gym. Simon, a lot of people don't know that Simon Powell, ex-Raffy, at the moment he's just found out that the break between Kapuka and Singleton, give me 2 seconds, Saxton, and I'll tell you. Simon Powell's just become basically a father-in-law. His daughter has just got engaged to a man that Simon approves of, which is not just his missus has now got a dude. It means that he has now got an alliance with another family, you know, which means that now that guy has an honour system to him. And it also means there's a commitment and a pledge to look after his daughter. That's a sign of success. It means his daughter's been brought up right. It means she's lovable, you know, and it means that Simon Powell's family is now stronger. There's a second man, you know, to protect the village. For that, boom. Simon Powell, despite you're a filthy Raffy, glass to you, mate. Bam. I'm very proud of you. We're going to watch a video in a second. Saxton, how long break between Kapuka and Singleton? There is no break. What do I mean by that? Glad you asked. That means that when you complete your march out on the Friday, where your family comes down and watches you march out, what will happen is you'll have that weekend to do administration, to clean the lines, get them refurbished, and then on Monday morning you're on a bus and you're going to School of Infantry, where you'll be then going into Gallipoli platoon with potentially up to 180 other people who are waiting to go in a session, or you might be going to the next session, right? When that occurs, you have to be able to do a BFA. Do you have to pass it? Not anymore. The standards have now fucking dropped to a pathetic level. It's still a creeping giant. You still need to be able to pass the BFA, which is a basic fitness assessment. But now you don't have to do it before you train, which makes absolutely no sense, and it's criminal, because before you actually have to pass, right, there's a requirement for you to do machine gun training, to do combat shooting, to do obstacle courses, to do hard fitness. Now, if you're not at the standard to meet the minimum standard of existence in the Australian Army being the basic fitness assessment, then what happens if you get injured? Is that setting you up for a fall that you weren't even ready to go? Is it your fault? Sure, it is. You know, does it make you a dick? Yep, absolutely it does. The fault's all on you. Blame the victim. That's what we do. But you had the opportunity, you had the scores, you turned up unprepared and you failed. You know, but the Army should be holding you against that, and they should be saying you can't go into training, you can't be trusted not to hurt yourself, right? If you're going to get the Skippy badge, which, like the Armoured Corps badge, is the only hat badge that is earned. What I mean is you don't get that until you've finished your initial employment training. Everyone else gets theirs given to them at Kapuka. I don't want to hear officers giving Skippy badges to soldiers either. The officer did not train the soldier. Okay, the section commander trained the soldier. Platoon commanders, do not take the honour off your section commanders. Ohio Danio, you got the cool name. Back squad, nervous of that? I'd be nervous of that too. What else we got? Mustafa. Hey, mate, got my aviation screening program coming up. I find your content to be pretty solid. Been part of the community since 2020. Did you get COVID? I got it twice. Mate, the aviation screening program, once you get in, it can be like a 12-year Rozzo. But what better present to get than 12 years stability where rotary wing aircraft, etc., where everything's getting paid for? That's a dream. Hawko, we had an officer cheating his BFA last week. He should lose his commission. Filthy fuck. I wish him nothing but bad. No one should salute him. That fucking loser should be told that he's not allowed to wear his rank now. The chain of command gave him a warning from what I saw. Respect forever lost. Absolutely. That'd be like a male wearing a skirt in the Australian Army. I will not salute it. And then when people say, why don't you? I go, look, it's about credibility. You know, being that is a choice. They chose to make it about himself. Nah, not getting the respect. No more. Sounds like there's no more gates in training anymore. There is, but they're not logical. You know, and if you make something easier, you can't complain of what you turn it into. When I was instructing at JLTC, Junior Leader Training Centre, I was an instructor there too, bucko. The BFA was the first thing, absolutely. Fail that and you were gone before you started. Boom, gone. It was like what is it? The radio, the 11, what do we used to call it? Bucko, shit. The radio set, the squad radio. 77 set. You know, if you moved it, you know, if you didn't move it, sorry, so the VHF antenna could get the comms, you also failed too, remember? When people, before they went on the junior leadership course. We've got FGX here. Do you think the Army makes it seem like everything is easier than it looks and sounds? They do, but for DEI hires. And unfortunately, we've got a lot of DEI hires that are happening with the military. We've got a lot of DEI hires happening in our offices. I'd say the majority of the Australian officers are managers with no leadership ability at all. Yeah. Alan, g'day Kaz and all. I'm getting fit again. I'm an ex-Aussie infantry reservist. I reckon doing a BFA soon at 65. I'm very happy. Life is just getting better and better, mate. Alan, I always say that life is better after the age of 50. You're 65 and you're still saying it. Salute to you, my man. Thank you for your service. Saxon, what should I do with my money when I get in from the Army? Should I invest in stocks and stuff like that? I'm not a financial advisor, Saxon, but you and I should have a conversation about that. What I would say is you almost can't go wrong if you go into a broad index ETF, you know, on the ASX in Australia. And there's ones that you can do that will protect that money, draw it out over a long period, and you really can't go wrong. Or if something goes wrong, there's something bigger happening with the country that we can't explain. You do that for 30 years, mate, and you're going to walk out a very, very wealthy man. Or you can not do it and end up like me, who's now starting in my 50s and doing it for my daughter because I don't have enough time left on this world to be able to live that myself. Hit that like button, you bastards, says Simon Powell. Not me, it was him. Frags, Kaz, do you think reserves should have IMPS? I'm not sure what that is. Do you mean IETs? Let us know what it is, Frags. I didn't get that acronym. Big Gus, 47. How strict are they on hearing? I'm roughly 15% deaf in my left ear. Should I still get in? I'd say go for it 100%, mate, until they say no. Now, my hearing is not the best, my mate. But that's been out of helos, you know, APCs, weapon systems, no hearing protection, almost all of my own fault. Industrial deafness. And, you know, I've had a lot of girlfriends too. And I tell you what, I can still hear the chirping in that ear from long car drives. Not talking dirty. We have an odd track where I'm posted. Can you take a shortcut by running off the track through an unpaved section? Don't know what you mean by that. Had that heavy brick battery in the base. It did, Simon Powell. Hit the light team, time out. Put it on black. 77 was a brilliant VHF radio. Yep, they used it at Battle of Long Tan. Breathe through your balls. My best friend signed his oath of affirmation today. I'll miss him. He's off to Kapuka today or tomorrow. He'll be in a hotel tonight. Guys, we're going to put on a video now for your pleasure and for mine. And this is Valhalla, who's going to be talking about do infantry, because we're living in a world now where everyone thinks that everything is special forces, when almost all of history's fighting has actually been done by normal infantry. So what we're going to do, where are we? Bam. We'll put that there. We're going to move Kaz over here. All right. We're going to go to the screen capture. And wait a second. Boom. Look at it. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Okay. As you can see, we're already subscribed to Valhalla VFT. He's an American Special Forces guy. Was not infantry. Went straight to Special Forces, direct entry. And it was a very successful career. And now he does YouTube. It's a good channel. I recommend you subscribe to his channel right now as we get ready to listen to this. So, what's he got to say to us? Let's like the, where are we? Bam. We'll like the video. If you do what I do and you subscribe to the channel.
Not get enough credit, and are they overlooked by the public and society and Hollywood?
I would say absolutely. The reason is we have almost no exposure whatsoever due to our hierarchy that takes it all about himself, spin narratives, and make us the hammer without volume. Right? We're still supposed to do the training, do the dying, do the committing, in hard times, all the yeoman's work, but it never seems to get passed downhill. Right? So let's keep going. Everything is about special forces these days, which is far from the actual truth of the matter.
For their role in that war. Okay. Now, for background, I was not an infantryman. I was what's called an 18 X-ray. So I came in, did basic training, straight to Special Forces Assessment Selection, made it through first try. My entire career was in Army Special Forces, but I've always had the utmost respect and admiration for the infantry and Marine Corps. And a lot of that stems from, for those of you who don't know, a huge percentage of the of Green Berets were actually infantrymen before they ever came into SF.
Okay, this is a fact. In the Australian Army, although there is the Special Engineer Regiment, etc., there is signals that go to Special Forces as well, to SOCOM. There's pathways there. The actual main pathway to Commandos and Special Air Service Regiment, once you actually go and do your direct entry Commandos or SOCOM induction, you still need to go and do your School of Infantry 16 weeks training in the Infantry Corps. So just be aware of that too.
And I always found it fascinating that almost all the guys that I knew and I was on teams with that came from that route always sort of considered themselves an infantryman first, which I thought is really admirable about that.
Okay, a little bit more to that. All of my brothers that are in Commandos and SASR, they all still look so fondly on their time. 11 Bravos for infantry in the USA. Over in Australia, it's 343. This is where they started. This is where they got their bones, where they cut their teeth, where they got their skills, where their mateships and friendships, stories and reputation was built. When you get to Commandos, SASR, it's probably harder to stay there than what it is to get there. And you're always auditioning for yet another year there. It's not easy to stay there. They are special for a reason, and it's hard to stay on the saddle. So never forget where you come from, where you learnt your skills, and what gave you all the good ideas and the inspiration and the training mates that gave you the hit points to go there and be the best that you could be, the platform.
That culture. Even, one of the guys I know who was in Delta Force for years, amazingly storied career over in the unit, recently inducted into Military Hall of Fame. And I was at his induction ceremony, and in his speech, he made it clear about how he was an infantryman first. Okay, so I think it's really neat that the culture has that. Now, the reason I'm really making this is because if you look around at social media, podcasts, and TV shows, movies, special operations is highly glamorized and romanticized, right? Just looking at Hollywood movies over the last 10, 15 years, okay? The big ones, what were they? Okay, recently, 12 Strong, about Green Berets, Lone Survivor, Navy SEALs, American Sniper, Navy SEALs, Black Hawk Down, Delta Force Ranger Battalion, Zero Dark 30, Navy SEALs. And, really the only big conventional movie I really was able to look up, maybe there's a few I missed, but was a movie like Jarhead, which is really a movie about a Marine who doesn't end up doing anything on his deployment, which is, I think, kind of disrespectful because the infantry and Marine Corps really did a lion's share of the work, at least, especially in Iraq, and sort of the first 10 years of the war, especially.
Wait 2 seconds, team. Just have a look at this for a sec. Mr. Buckaroo, no SF in World War One. There wasn't, but there was in World War Two. Just grunts of 303s and bayonets, and are willing to save their buddies. Judah says, got my preference for 2RAR, 2nd Battalion Royal Australian Regiment, Kaz Battalion, but after getting downgraded, it wasn't locked in. We'll be getting upgraded the next month or so, so then got to finish out session. Not too sure what'll end up going on. Well, Judah, normally what happens is that contract will now be ceasing for you if you get back squatted. And then you've got to then be allocated to 2nd Battalion again with a new platoon. Everything changes, including Special Forces direct entry if you get back squatted during Kapuka or the School of Infantry.
Right. From a strictly numbers standpoint, if you look at the total number of people killed in Afghanistan and Iraq, American soldiers, over 7,000 estimated. Wow. Those numbers can be a little wonky sometimes. Of that, it's estimated about 660 of those 7,000 were special operators. So less than 10% of all soldiers killed in action actually came from.
That's a lot of Special Forces soldiers. I had no idea there was that many. God bless them. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. And at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Each one of those soldiers was a Charlie Kirk to someone. God bless their mothers, their Golden Star mothers. And for those that lost their lives from Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and all of the countries around the world, in the fight against terror, regardless of what you thought about, including sometimes the enemies. God be with them.
Off. Which not to say that necessarily every single 100% of the remaining were infantrymen or Marines, but a majority of those were. Okay, so infantry actually took substantially more casualties than any soft unit did, right? And a big part of that is because of the type of conflict. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, special operations, what it's really designed for, especially when it comes to a large-scale conflict, is we are not the lead effort. Okay, we are a supporting effort.
Okay, team. Sorry, we've got some questions here. I fear the Australian population does not remember our diggers anymore. I also support what you're saying there, and it should start at the schools. Yet a lot of times it does not. Now, Samuel says, especially not those who don't care about our country. That too is true. When you have no chance of being kicked out of your country, when you have no chance of having to die for your country, and worst case scenario, you can lose your job and still get unemployment benefits for the rest of your life, then they probably don't care. And there's an indoctrination that's occurring as well. Hawko, I think a 2-year national service program after school, I think yes, but one year. And it should definitely be for immigrants so they can assimilate into the country and feel that there's something they need to fight for. having said that, we saw that with Rome, the reason why people, why Rome fell was because land ownership options disappeared. Where are we seeing that? Australia. Starting to see in the USA, New Zealand, Canada, England, etc., where we're seeing immigrants given more preference and better treatment than what there is of the people that actually live and built the country. So, in saying that, if you have no land ownership, why would you die for it? Okay, what other country would you die for, and why would you? It doesn't make sense. What he's talking about here is normally special forces go out and they lead in raids, in deliberate activities, deliberate actions to go and hit a target, do the damage, unsuspecting, boom, and then get out of there. Sledgehammer without warning, okay, or who dares wins, SASR, the scalpel. So when they do that, the chances of them taking casualties are still there, very, very dangerous, but the enemy doesn't normally know they're there until they smell the fart and then they realise they're the victim of it. Now, infantry, what they'll do is dominate locations. That's where most of our information comes back from. They will go out in areas of operations, in TAORs, tactical areas of responsibility, and they will look for the trouble, and they don't shy away from it. They lean into it. And we go out and we take the enemy on. Remember, the role of the infantry to seek out and close the enemy, to kill or capture him, to seize and hold ground, to repel attack by day or night, regardless of season, weather or terrain. Our job is to go out and win. We can't afford to ever lose, ever. Second place in war means death. And normally who we're fighting against is asymmetric warfare, so they get to throw the first punch. They do it in the cruelest manner, and they don't get held to account by 60 minutes the way Australians do. You know, just starting after year 12, planning on going infantry after graduating. Good to see, Sammy. Special place in hell for people stealing valour. Yeah, or mental health. Looking forward to picking your brain about a few things, Louis. I can't wait for it either.
Effort to conventional forces. Okay, so conventional forces, let's say you have to take a country like Iraq. Special operations are going to assist in a bunch of different ways the conventional units on actually trying to overcome and win that war. We're never going to be the lead element in a conflict like that. Where are we going to be a lead effort in a conflict like that? A unconventional warfare style conflict like Afghanistan or even Vietnam should have been, where special operations really lends.
Another good question there that was asked by Ty. If the government is not putting Australians first, is Australia really worth fighting for? Say this question the other day. Saw this question. I want to see other people's opinions. Well, Ty, I've got a lot of thoughts on this one. I'll tell you straight up. Albanese has done nothing for this country. Even when he said after buying a $4 million house on the water, you know, that climate change is a scary thing. He wouldn't have done that if he thought his house is going to go underwater. He told us to buy electric cars, and now he's going to jack up the tax, you know, because they're not getting the dollars and the tax money on fuel. All right? It's crazy. The fact that we've got Kevin Rudd, one of the most hated men in the world, you know, as our ambassador, despite the fact that America doesn't want to talk to him and he's spoken bad about him. You know, I don't even think that the US has spoken to Albanese, you know, who I suspect is back in China and globalism instead of USA, the most powerful force in the world. You know, I haven't seen any evidence to see that our own country loves us anymore. I love it. I want my country to love me like I love it. I believe that the people of the country, the cloth, do. I think we do love our country. I think we're very, very proud of it. You know, but we're also frustrated. And that frustration is happening around the world too, with Starmer, you know, with Canada, with New Zealand. You know, there with Macron, there is a love of globalism, and they've been the curtain's been pulled back, and now we see, and we're seeing that this globalism has crept into DEI across the entire world. Are they doing vaccines at basic training? Not anymore, Maxi. They are, but not that vaccine. Jason 981 has, I'm enlisting in infantry next month and can pass a BFA, but I've been told that I could potentially lose fitness at Kapuka. Not if you go in there fit enough, mate. If so, what can I do at Kapuka? When no one's looking, you just do push-ups, man. Do what Kaz did. I used to do just push-ups every single day. No problem at all. It won't take you long to get it back.
much better as the main effort to a conflict, an insurgency-based conflict. Okay, so if you look at some of the big nasty battles, and there's a bunch of them, okay, but just a couple of them, right? Obviously, the most famous one from Iraq, Battle of Fallujah. Okay, well, there's two, but especially the second Battle of Fallujah. 6-week conflict, door-to-door, urban combat, estimated 3,000 to 5,000 insurgents, almost 100 soldiers killed, American soldiers killed in that battle. Super nasty. You know, I showed some of my award citations in a previous video, and I'm cognizant that as impressive as some of those battles might look, they're nothing compared to what those kids went through in Fallujah or in Ramadi. I stand in awe of an infantry or Marine private that went through that battle. Amazing. Now, where do again, where do we see conventional sort of being a requirement? Because that's kind of the problem right now. Look at recruitment. It's like, oh well, special operations is handling everything. Sure, you know, and
Okay, the other thing too is infantry is where the backbone of almost all special forces soldiers recruit from. That's where they recruit from. You know, if the pond is empty or the pond is getting smaller, there's only two things that can happen. Right? The standards have to drop, or recruiting goes down. And we've seen 60 Minutes and our former Angus Campbell try his hardest to destroy his own organisation. You know, impeach that man. So what happens? Because now it's not just SASR, it's commandos as well. And both of them need their men. They need them. The regiment's never been smaller, the Royal Australian Regiment for infantry. Okay. We need good people, a lot of them. There he is, Hawko.
Conventional style conflicts that we've been in, again, Afghanistan was really the lion's share of the back half of the 20-year war. But if you look at something, if we get in a first world conflict, us and Russia, China, North Korea, whoever, it will be, you know, the Marine Corps and infantry and tank divisions that will have to do a lion's share of that combat and work again, and they will be assisted by special operations units. Even Green Berets, we are the biggest special operations units by numbers, by considerable margin. It would have taken basically the entire regiment to have fought the Battle of Fallujah. And I don't know if that would have even, that might have been enough, but I mean, again, it's just not something realistic, right? So hats off to all you infantrymen, Marines that fought, you know, in the global war on terror. And don't get
this twisted, team. Being infantry, we don't want people singing our praise, etc., jumping around, giving us all the recognition, thanks for your service, etc. All we want is for people to get off their ass on Anzac Day and come out and say thank you to those that fell before us. We want people to get up on Remembrance Day, you know, and maybe kids have the day off school if they're not doing something, and give commemorations at the local memorial and see people out of bed, stopping what they're doing for 1 minute. That's it. Mentioning the name of someone that has never been spoken since 1918. I heard something the other day. How's this for one? Hawko, how's this? I heard you die twice in this lifetime. Once when you physically die, and the second time is the last time your name is spoken after death. That's chilling.
The acknowledgement that I think you deserve, okay? And I saw it myself when we would actually take out 10th Mountain guys and 82nd guys on our operations, have them help us do uplift stuff, work with security for our JTAC team leader, things like that. And we had a guy shot in the chest on one of our missions, 7.62 round. Yes, he had body armor, thank God. Shattered his body armor, round came up, ripped open his neck here. And his unit, his own unit, his commander, conventional commander, was trying to refuse giving him a Purple Heart because supposedly we couldn't prove that the round was actually fired by a Taliban insurgent and not an ANA.
what the fuck? ANA means Afghan National Army, green on blue. They were, there was phenomenal amounts of traitors within the Afghan National Army that did attacks on Australians, killed Australian forces as well as American, Dutch, etc. It was horrific. Wait 2 seconds. What do we get? Alex says, hey, Kaz, did his PFA 2 weeks ago, was told AGSVA is coming, asked when I want to enlist now, it's gone back to wait for the police check. Mate, for starters, thank you very much. I'm going to throw you a Nutsu cow for your patience, sir, and good luck to you. He is the White Warrior. Mate, you'll be right, unless you're not. Have you got anything to be worried about your police check?
Anyway, crazy, right? So we actually had to force through getting him the award he deserves. So you see a lot. I know there's tons of stories of that for guys that were, in the Battle of Fallujah, which all of those guys should have Valor Awards, right? All of them that went through that crazy stuff. So, and also getting help for those guys once they get out, okay? This is the other thing that's kind of, I think, lacking is for us special operators, man, we are significantly better taken care of by organizations when we get out, okay? SOF has just Special Forces, right? Has the Green Beret Foundation, the Special Forces Association, Special Operators Group. You have Honor Foundation, okay? These are just some off the top of my head that specifically work to help SF guys with their issues and they transition out. And there's really a lot lacking when it comes to the rest of, the infantry and the Marine Corps, which I think is disappointing. So,
okay, in conclusion, thank you very much, Valhalla. Much respect. Thumbs up for Valhalla for that video and his humble speak of 11 Bravo US infantry. And again, that goes out to the Australian infantry and our combat corps and everyone that supports them to get there. Guys and gals, we do need everyone. We do. But we need everyone to be of standard. We need everyone to not look and go, I'm just support. I only need to be able to do this. I can do that. We need everyone to be prepared to be, one, patriotic, to be effective, to be lethal. Okay, because I tell you now, if I can get my hands on support people from a foreign army, I'd rather fight them than infantry any day of the week. Any day of the week. Go through them like knife through butter. Talk about butter. Porco throws in $10 there. That's going to go towards daughter's next S&P 500 share. Thank you very much, mate. He's going to get a cracking. He's going to get the hug for that turmeric cow. He's going to get the hug of the South Australian single mums at the Centrelink. Here it comes. Look at her. She's a big girl. It's a kraken. Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy. Welcome, calamari. Thank you very much there, Hawko. And Alex, great to hear that you haven't got something hiding in the cupboard. And when I say that, I don't mean a sailor. Right, let's go back to this for a second. Where'd we go with, where are we? So back squatting, 40% are scared of getting back squatted, 41%. Fitness stands 27. There's no excuse for that. You just turn up ready. Missing home, 22%. Okay, we all love dogs. 12% maybe quitting. Let's put an end to that poll now. It was good to have your feedback there, and I think it's very important as well. So let's get off there. And I don't mean get off. I'm going to say something a little bit controversial in a second. All right. Something a little bit controversial because we like controversial, don't we? Why? Because controversial normally also means that we're being honest. Anyone can say what everyone wants to hear, can't they? Right. Hoodle Doodle says, my girlfriend is asking about training tempo, mate. How much time on average between field trips? Well, that depends on the unit you're in, what stage of the year it is, whether it's individual training, whether it's individual skills, section skills, platoon skills, company skills, battalion skills, and army skills or brigade. She'll get enough time. There's so much, I say there's almost more family time than what there is work time these days. It's incredible. There's no one that can answer that, mate. There's no one that can answer it there. Hoodle, Jace. But she'll be fine. And there'll be times where she actually can't wait for you to go out again. What I was going to say is, we've got to a stage, let's move over here, can we? Where are we? Bam. Let's move Kaz into the centre again so that we can talk about this. Oops. G'day, Bushcraft. There you go, mate. This is what I'm going to say. I feel like Australia is falling. Australia is falling, and what do I mean by that? It feels like patriotism's gone. It feels like nationalism is gone. It feels like the people that do the least for this country, that are the most indoctrinated by left-leaning, mindset, school teachers, uni students, academics that believe that going to uni makes you more intelligent. No, it doesn't. It means you know about one subject more than the rest of us. Okay, that we are being led to a position with immigration where we are watering down what it was to be an Australian. What is it to be an Australian? It's a fair go for everyone. There's your cricket bat. If you didn't bring shoes, you still got to go over there, walk in the fucking bindies and get the ball back with the German Shepherd while getting attacked by a magpie that's eating a plover. And then come back and eat half-cooked chicken, and pretend that you like the taste. Despite the fact you turn up with 6 thin sausages instead of garlic prawns. You cheap bastard. So there's something going wrong in Australia where those that are committed, that love the nation, are being painted as though they're being right-leaning, when in actual fact we're just Australian-loving. You're not right-wing to not think that it's awesome to have abortions, transgender, fucking being taught at schools. Just like we tease people for being vegetarians for a while, for being whatever. Being normal, being in the centre, is not right-wing. Have an opinion. Have a microphone. But I'm telling you now, if you see from my point of view, you do get stamped on for having it. I'm a national guy. I believe in tribalism. I actually love our country. I want it to be the colour of the Skittles. Love it. Love it. Everyone's welcome. But you should have to be able to commit yourself to this country. All right? As soon as you break the law, bang, you're sent back home. Let's let them have their dual custody so they've got a place to get sent back home to. You need to be able to commit here, to be able to love the country, because if you don't make this a pillar that actually takes these people and gives them a home worth fighting for, when the problems come to our shores, what's simply going to happen is they're just going to pack up and go to the next country that gives them handouts. We don't want that. We want them to feel loved and cherished, and this is a land worth fighting for generations to follow. But the only way we can do that is by some form of national service, which includes, assimilates, teaches people language, gives them a setting where they can have respect, where they can earn it, where they can have friendships that aren't just from the people of their background, but of people that can actually love them and contribute to them and invite them into the houses of Australians, right? With a common language. There is certain cultures that do not mix with Australia. We're not going to go into that tonight, and that doesn't make you racist. When you get onto a bus, when you get onto a train, when you get onto a plane, it doesn't make you racist to say, geez, I hope that person doesn't sit near me. And it might be just because of their food choice. It comes out of the skin. It kind of reeks. Anywhere you go in the world, you're going to find people that won't tolerate you a shitload more than what you would be of them in your own country. The tolerance Australia has for people to come to Australia and treat us like shit in our own country is remarkable. Even more so in America. Be a good person, make the village good, commit, stand up when in doubt to let someone sit. But you should have opinions, not just on footy. Rest in peace, Penrith. You should have opinions on real matters. Today I was in a doctor's surgery and there would have been about 15 females in there, and I tell you what, I nearly went insane. I didn't hear one logical, interesting, thought-provoking comment in 45 minutes. Now I realise why I loved infantry so much. Now, I understand that I need to be in a place set apart. I've got more in common with the guy from 1912 than what I have with the guy from 2022. Right? And it's getting worse since COVID. This don't blame the victim. Treat people special that haven't done anything to be treated special. Respect the homeless despite the fact their own families won't give them somewhere to sleep. Yeah. Jeez. We've got to pick up the standards. We've got to repair the broken windows. We've got to be willing to be cruel, to be kind, hold people to account. We need to bring back the death penalty. We need to bring back guns. We need to bring back our microphone. We need to allow people to have a voice and an ability to be able to protect their family, knowing that police will only get there when it's time to turn up the tape. Guns don't kill people. Weirdos kill people. Broncos. Okay, team, let's get out of here, team, but I've got to let you know that when you've got a military background, you're going to be in conversations, dark humour, dark reality that's actually true, but unable to be palatable to those that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, that think that the world is perfect, not understanding that the very force field that protects them on a daily basis is the tradie in the street, is the cop, is the soldier, sometimes a raffy if you're desperate, the normal bloke that's had good parents, with good value system, Judeo-Christian, national, loving individuals. It's not evil to say that you're spiritual, religious, you love your country. Be yourself, don't be peer pressure driven, guys, and have interesting subjects to talk about. Right. Be interesting. Be ready to go on a podcast when you're 55 and don't live with excuses. You can't run it back. Guys and gals, we are so lucky. Soldiers are not weirdos. We are to those that don't understand us, because we're connected to every policy that the government says. We don't get a corporate credit card, because we don't live in Canberra. We're not part of a private business. What we have to do is do the government's bidding when they fail, and they never thank us in return. How could they thank us? That's a different video. All right, team, look after yours, because if you don't, everyone else will be too late when it's their turn. I had a corporate credit card. No, he didn't. He probably did. He was working in stores. All right, team, take it easy. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for the donations, team, of your time, of your dineros, of your common sense. Jennifer, good night. Smoking Joe currently at IT's and getting posted to 1AR soon, the big blue one. Thanks for your advice, Kaz. Thank you, Smoking Joe. I hope you've given up smoking. And, mate, mucho respecto to the boys of the Royal Australian Regiment that are feeding into our special forces that need good men now better than ever, more than ever. All right. See you later. Anzacs in the future. You've got 100 points in advance. Don't be afraid of anything other than missing home. But I still call Australia home. We're girt by sea. See you later. And you're worth fighting for. Artillery, get out of there, Hawko.